Hi, my name is Cami. So you guys all know that I'm adopted, but today I want to talk about my adoption experience. So it's true that all adoptees have different stories. Some are good, some are bad, some are from other countries. So I want to specify why my family is great. My parents and my sister's adopted also. We're both Korean, but we're not related. So to start, my dad has wanted to adopt a baby for a long time, and my parents finally decided that they were ready. So they were looking online and they found my name and my picture. And I had a Korean name, so a Korean official had given me a name. They thought it was, interesting, and they decided to go through and have a social worker come to my home, sort of examine everything, make sure it's a good home, interview my parents, ask them questions, and they were approved. So they wanted to have more information. There was specific information. It said that, I was deaf, and it was at that time illegal for deaf parents to adopt a hearing baby because they assumed that they couldn't raise a baby. So at the time I was 10 months old, and the phone would ring, I would look at it, and they all were, that was how the test was done, They thought I was hearing. My parents were heartbroken because they said that they couldn't adopt me, but it's not true. I was deaf. They found out later, and they were satisfied, and my parents were so relieved. So they clarified, I was deaf. My friends are deaf. I have the deaf gene. Well, that day, I flew out to Chicago, and my parents went to Chicago. Got there, and you couldn't have both parents in the plane because one of them had to stay. So my mom went in the plane with me. She saw all the babies and was like, which one's mine? And all these babies are crying and they're freaking out, but not me. I was a quiet baby. My mom was like, yep. She looked at my wristband and she said, yep, that's my baby. So she went home and, she tried to keep up my Korean diet. All of these different foods so it wouldn't upset my stomach. But as I grew up, I became a U.S. citizen at 3. It's actually interesting. My parents, they paid the price to have me become a citizen. It was surprisingly cheap. They went to court, and I was too young to answer the questions myself, so the judge would ask my mom the questions. She would answer for me. She would answer the questions. They were easy, because it was a while ago. When my mom passed the test, it was easy. So they were approved, and I was a U.S. citizen. I went to a deaf school, and that experience was tough for me. It was a while ago. All these adults, they have their right reasons. They have their practices, how they teach kids, and many of them, these people who worked there, they sort of insulted me, They thought I was stupid, and I think I was about 5 maybe. So typically I would just go home and I would cry, and I'd feel like, what's wrong with me? Why am I different? I want to become normal like them. Why am I a Korean? Well, now I love being Korean, My identity is so strong, and I'm not insecure anymore. And nowadays people are more accepting, it's more diverse, and people have their right practices and how to teach kids, and there's proper curriculum and stuff, and the times are different. So my parents, they were always very open about my adoption experience. They would explain everything to me. They would show me my paperwork. There was my birth mother and all her information. They would show me my parents' names right there. So my birth parents, they were very young. My birth mother was 20. Dad was 21. They were very short people. So when my mother became pregnant, they didn't feel ready. They were both really young, and that culture really looked down on, deaf mothers. You're supposed to give the baby away. Because I'm here, I decided that I don't want to meet them. Some people do. They want to meet their deaf parents. They want to meet their birth parents. But for me, I'm satisfied with the way it is, I just want to take a minute and talk about oftentimes my friends or people, they still sign, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, these sort of old signs. That's pretty offensive. We have China, Korea, Japan. You don't have to sign these old signs. They're racist. And I get asked this questions a lot. People oftentimes ask me, where were you born? Are you from somewhere else? They assume that I'm a foreigner. Well, some Koreans are born here. Not all of them are born in Korea. So I'm curious why people ask, where were you born? Well, you got to think about what kind of a question is that, How some people ask is insulting, but I get asked it a lot. Oftentimes they'll ask me, it's just a way of asking, I'm very open about answering it as long as you're not being insulted, especially if we're close, but people will ask it to try and get my experience, and it doesn't really insult me if we're close, but sometimes if you're being blunt and you're asking a kid, especially when I was a kid, it was kind of insulting. But there's different ways that people can have kids, You probably just shouldn't ask that question. It's how to phrase the question. People also ask me, are you North or South Korean? Which? So, they assume if you're born in the North, they feel sorry for you. You can't leave, and you want to leave, but you have to do it in secret. And really, it's clear I'm here. So, thanks for watching.